it's not a super defined process where we wake up every day and we do the same thing. It's what I've been doing and trying to explain in my book is a product manager's process should be assessing where we are right now, assessing where we have to go, trying to figure out like, what do we have to learn? What is unknown? Where is the risk, right? To me, things that are unknown have a lot of risk associated with them. If we're building stuff off stuff we haven't learned, things that we don't know for sure, we're inviting risk that our product will fail. So to me, a product manager always has to figure out what those known unknowns are and try to figure out how to learn from them. So I say, your process is to every week look at what do we know and what don't we know, and then figure out how do we best answer those questions. And there will get to a point where after time, the question is, will this actually work in the wild? We've answered as much as we possibly can. And that's when you go into a process like Scrum, where you're trying to iterate on it and figure out how to ship it and get it all broken down. But at the beginning, I say that you have to go through different phases, and you can jump phases depending on the amount of certainty at each part. So the first phase is problem exploration. So you set the goal. You always have goal setting first. And I say that this should never change. This part of the process never changes. There's always a goal. You always know where you're going. You have it set. You figured it out. Great. You do some research to get in there. You pull some data. Then there's problem exploration. What is the problem we're trying to solve? And is it the right problem to solve, right? Is it strong? What is the context around it? How do my people experience it? Everything you possibly know about the problem. Sometimes the problem is really readily apparent. You've been hearing it for years. You have all this data on it. You don't have to do a lot of work there because you know it. Like, it's just there. It's very apparent. So great. You don't spend a lot of time there. Other times, you have absolutely no idea what the problem is. So you have to do a lot of research. You have to talk to your customers. You have to experiment a little bit by using like small techniques, like concierge experiments, where you like deliver something manually, get people's feedback, iterate on it. And you're just shaping the context around what's the right problem to go after. Once you know that, it's about solution exploration. So it's a question of what is the right solution to solve this problem. So in that phase, it's more about experimenting quickly to figure out what direction should I be moving in, is to provide clarity around that. So in there, you're doing some maybe lean startup style type experiments. You're doing like Wizard of Oz. I love Wizard of Oz experiments. But maybe you're also just building, A/B tests or small functionality enhancements to see if it does it. It might not be something big. It might be something to just clarify direction around it. And you're coming out of there knowing, okay, I believe this is the right way we should be going. And it turns into solution definition. So I think on the line of solution exploration to solution definition, that's where you're talking MVPs, right? Like that's where you're talking about first versions that we can put out, small little slices of the most valuable thing we can get out there and get feedback from. That might look like a full solution, might not, depending on what you learn. So then in solution definition, that's all about really breaking it down and making sure you have the right aspects of the solution to really test it. And that's where you want to be small. You want to put out small pieces of functionality that provide value, get the feedback, create a holistic vision, try to figure out how to test that vision, getting into that. So that's where you really see the product come to life in more of its form that it will eventually take. So as a product manager, my entire process is about, where am I right now? Am I in problem exploration mode? Okay, that means I'm going to be using these types of tools. Am I in solution exploration mode? That means I'm going to be using these types of tools like Google Sprints and that stuff. Am I in solution definition? Okay, that's where maybe I'm using a Scrum process to iterate and put things out in increments and iterative fashion of small, like usable functionality so that I can get feedback quickly. But instead, what I see with process is everybody goes, we do Scrum. But why do you do Scrum? Like, when do you do Scrum, right? And they do it for everything instead of at the right points. So I think a product management process is more about really understanding, where are you? What do you need to learn? And then applying the right tools, the right things for that process to learn what you need as much as possible.